An undefeated record is often seen as one of the most valuable things in the sport of boxing.
Absolutely.
Especially now in the modern era.
Absolutely.
But many forget that it is through losses that one can become even better. Today, we will analyse the style of Anthony Joshua and how those losses have elevated his style even more. For some boxers, a loss means the end of a career.
Were you surprised that he never fought again after your fight?
Yes, I was surprised because I traveled to 2K to say, come on, let's go to second fight.
But in the case of AJ, it is only through those losses that he has been able to fulfill his potential and reach new levels. Well, if you want to know exactly how he did it and what adjustments he made, this breakdown is for you.
Focus.
But before we start the breakdown, we wanted to announce a collaboration with our sponsor, Boxing Timer Pro, the premier training platform designed for coaches and future champions. The app now has a dedicated Skillr section with a growing collection of workouts. Skillr Boxers can now train smarter and improve faster. Download today and dominate the opposition. Boxing stance. Joshua typically likes to stay in a very upright, squared stance with his arms at chin level. He has a very traditional stance, with his hands not too high to be able to see and use his lead hand, nor too low to remain defensively responsible. That way, he will make adjustments to block when needed, depending on the opponent's attack.
Latest ever as a world champion, as is Joshua, looking sharp behind.
However, we have seen him change his stance and vary it depending on the opposition he faces. But we will get more in depth later on in the video. Now, let's take a look at his skills. Skills. The 1-2. One of the most basic yet effective combinations in the sport of boxing.
Really increase it here, Parker. Increase it here, Parker.
With proper execution and timing, it can be a very effective combination, which AJ has definitely mastered.
The finish. Third knockdown of the fight for Anthony Joshua, right hand!
Now, even though it's a basic combination, Joshua has some slight variations of it. A way of setting up his straight right is with a jab to the body. Joshua will repeat the jab to the body over and over again to set the opponent for a shot to the head. In this case, the straight right.
So definitely with somebody like small fights, there's not a more.
This was especially effective against Povotkin, who was real solid defending Joshua's punches. So AJ adjusted by setting up the straight instead of mindlessly throwing it.
A dangerous fighter because he knows Joshua. You can jab a left jab and it's letting their hands go. Heavyweights, no comment there, undefeated.
The jabs to the body proved a big enough opening for AJ in round 7, which then led to the knockdown.
I'm going to answer that. Yes, yes, right hand by Joshua.
Joshua steps to his man, a big hook in the right hand.
As mentioned, AJ's stance was also different for this fight. Due to Povetkin's smaller frame, AJ strayed away from his usual upright stance and stayed in a more crouched position to make it harder for the overhand to land.
Again, it was how to throw the right punches.
His lead hand remained low, while the rear stayed up. Holding up the phone, as they say. A stance that resembles that of fighters like Tommy Hearns. This helped him land the jab to the body easier and have a shorter path to travel.
Being a heavyweight champion.
Another way Joshua sets up his straight is with a lead hand feint, using the lead with the purpose of setting up the power punch and not really to land it. It could be a punch feint
From AJ, and you get 49.
Foot on the outside, the right.
Familiar with volley and having sparred.
for a hand position,
Focus. AJ!
a jab or a hook,
I'm trying to detonate a few more.
but the end purpose is to distract from landing the cross.
Can the champion!
Olympic pedigree. Despite starting in boxing late, he was still able to go on and have a very successful amateur career, becoming a gold medalist. This experience of his in the amateurs would pay dividends to his pro career. His hand game is very underrated. He knows how to use his long guard to create traffic and take away the opponent's jab.
You're ringside, Anthony Joshua.
AJ is also excellent using parries to defend and to counter too, often off the opponent's jab.
Joshua's not had to throw many punches.
He will mix his long guard with his footwork, using posts and extending the lead hand while stepping back and controlling the distance.
To Anthony Joshua, we concur.
Showing his awareness of the distance and polished footwork.
But it's not easy to be at your very best when you've had several months off, and including a full.
Try to land a big shot. If you time it, you can connect with a bigger one.
And now a little dancing from Joshua.
Another example of his great awareness of the distance and Olympic pedigree is his pull counter, which for a heavyweight is nothing short of impressive.
Weaves nicely underneath, so good defensive skill.
Again, this is another way to take away the opponent's jab,
And just hope that got a fighter flowing like a.
and in some cases hurt the opponent.
Right hand.
As soon as they commit to the jab, AJ will step back just enough with his rear foot and pull his head back at the same time.
Joshua took a slight step back with his right foot, right there.
He will then enter back into their range and counter them with the straight.
That jab to set it up. There.
AJ throws him.
There it is.
Impressive, targeting the body.
And I thought we'd see more of what we saw.
With power. But beautiful.
Sometimes he is able to sneak a combination after.
Hands go.
Another example of his intelligent and technique-minded approach is his ability to land perfectly a very difficult punch, the uppercut.
As soon as that's back. Oh!
He will often use it at close range,
Tyson Fury was the man who.
or from the outside, setting it up with a feint or a punch first. When at close range, he will use his legs to drive up with the uppercut.
Downstairs, looking for that big right hand and that uppercut. 3 in a row.
You can work on the inside in a clench. Don't become lazy. You've got the chance of using a hook or an uppercut.
He looks in control, but up close as he tries the uppercut.
So he can come back well.
Left, it doesn't look like it. Joshua's going for the.
Sometimes when you're on the inside, just dip your legs and drive up. So you don't want to go too wide and draw it from here. You just want to dip your legs and come up with the uppercut.
When at long range, he will adapt the motion and extend the uppercut slightly, always setting it up first.
Really got his equilibrium back, but he's the door in there at the moment. Oh!
In another situation, you can be against a short fighter, someone that comes in low, so you've got an opportunity to jab, whip the uppercut in. Nothing too wide as you could get countered, nice and short and speed, and drive through your legs because that's where the power is generated from.
Because it leaves you susceptible. When you. Oh, another one!
Adaptability. Grow from losses. As mentioned, this is one of Joshua's best skills, which is his ability to adapt and adjust to his previous mistakes. And we could see that adaptability and adjustments in both his rematches after his Ruiz loss and after his Usyk loss. In the first fight, AJ made the mistake of trading on the inside with Ruiz and not using his longer reach and footwork. In his rematch, we saw a much more composed AJ using the stick and moving around the ring to outbox the shorter man and keep him on the outside.
Expected this in Ruiz's corner. Manny Robles told us game plan. Hey, what did we see for a full jab of Joshua? In favor of Andy Ruiz. Always.
In the first Ruiz fight, he also made the mistake of being impatient. Right after dropping Ruiz,
mixes it up. Good uppercut.
he charged at him impatiently, leaving himself open, which is when he got caught. Ever since we have seen a much more composed AJ, even when having his opponents hurt, he is much more patient and remains calm while looking for the openings.
Patience after from AJ. Very important. We've seen him not rush in, no need.
Now, despite losing his rematch to Usyk, there was a clear improvement from the first to the second fight. In the first fight, AJ would constantly play the lead hand battle with Usyk and use the long guard, which is Usyk's speciality.
Hauling away at the jab as Usyk bounces in.
As soon as AJ reached out with his lead hand, Usyk would then use this small opening to come in with other punches,
Come to the centre of the ring, but good backhand.
or even go over AJ's lead hand.
From a southpaw.
In the rematch, AJ would maintain a closed high guard, not letting Usyk exploit his long guard as much. Joshua also learned from Usyk's techniques and used them in other fights, like the up jab.
You gotta try
Cruiserweight to try and steal Joshua.
see how Joshua moved his
Shot in there, Usyk.
Usyk would constantly use it against Joshua, who then exploited it against Otto Wallin, as it was an orthodox versus southpaw matchup, like the Usyk fight.
Throwing the jab under the jab of Wallin. He's not trying to go over the jab of Wallin.
AJ is definitely one of the best at learning from defeat, and has developed the analytical thinking needed for such a strategic and competitive sport. So much so that he has even incorporated into his team someone whose sole purpose is to break down the habits and techniques of an opponent he is about to face. That someone is Lee Wiley, one of the first ones to make boxing breakdowns and film study on YouTube. This just shows how important and useful studying film can be for your boxing game. But now you will be the analyst. What are some flaws you notice in AJ's game? Let us know, and if you like this video, you can find more on our channel. And to your left, we have chosen a video that we thought you may like.